Welcome back to another cartridge comparison. In today's video, we are going to compare the underrated, not so well known 25-06 Remington to the very popular 6.5 Creedmoor. Now, there's been a lot of comparisons between the 25-06 and 6.5 Creedmoor. And in most cases, here's kind of how it goes with 25-06 versus 6.5 Creedmoor. 25-06 shoots stubbier, not so high BC bullets much faster, and you get a flatter trajectory than the 6.5 Creedmoor. But the 6.5 Creedmoor, once you get past around 250, 300 yards, those high BC bullets are going to have a bit more energy, and obviously the 6.5 Creedmoor is really made to shoot out to 1,000 yards. So you kind of have to have some compromises. Do you want a flat shooting cartridge, or do you want a really good target round? But in today's video, we are going to compare these two cartridges with a bullet that I don't think anyone's really compared with, which kind of puts the 25-06 on a more even playing field as far as BC goes. And we're going to see what really the highest potential for a 25-06 in a 1 in 10 twist. The 25-06 is actually a really old cartridge, older than the 270 Winchester. This was introduced as a Wildcat cartridge in 1920. Now, it took a long time before it became a commercial cartridge that was introduced by Remington, and that was introduced in 1980. And the 25-06 has quietly been doing its thing for a long time. There's definitely some fans of it, but it's definitely very underrated. With how everybody is into high BC long range shooting, well, the 25 caliber bullets for the most part are just not high BC bullets. And even though this is a pretty darn fast shooting cartridge, it's not going to compare to a 6.5 Magnum or any of the 30 caliber or 7 millimeters. But let's go ahead and look at the performance. You can shoot as little as an 85 grain bullet, and by golly, going 3,600 feet per second, this is actually not too bad of a varmint cartridge. Okay, 100 grain bullet, those are pretty popular with the 25 calibers, kind of a middle ground bullet. You get really good velocity. 25-06 does it at mid 3,300 feet per second. And with a 1 in 10 twist, your higher BC bullets are in the 115 grain, and that you're still getting well into 3,100 feet per second with a 115. The 6.5 Creedmoor, everyone knows about it. I think everyone and their mother has one. It's just a good target round, and in the last 10 plus years, it's really gotten into the hunting world, and people use it. It's a great deer cartridge. I think it's a little underpowered for elk and bigger, but people still use it. And you can't deny just how influential the 6.5 Creedmoor has been in the 21st century. Ever since its introduction, all the new cartridges are basically following its footsteps in giving you sharper shoulder, SAMI specs to where you seat the bullet out extremely far, so you're getting the most out of your case, and tight tolerance chambers. So this cartridge has just been really influential, whether you love it or you hate it. So let's go ahead and look at the performance. Smallest bullet from Nosler is a 90 grain at 3,400. That's not bad. 100 grain at 3,271. So bullet for bullet, the 25-06 obviously is faster. 120 grain at 3,060-ish feet per second. But you're not getting a 6.5 Creedmoor to shoot 90, 100 grain bullets. So let's move on to a 130 grain at almost mid 2,900, and a 140 grain basically mid 2,700 feet per second. So it's kind of slow, to be honest, but when you have really high BC bullets, that really makes up for what it lacks in velocity. So what many to believe to be the Achilles heel for basically all 25 caliber cartridges is their outdated slow twist rates. So all of basically your factory offered cartridges, whether it's the 25-06, 257 Weatherby, or the 257 Roberts, they're all going to come with a 1 in 10 twist, unless you do a custom rifle. And so the highest BC bullet that you're going to be able to shoot is usually a 115 grain, and it's going to have okay BC, like mid 0.4 on the G1. Not great. But Berger, of course, has made a 115 grain that has the highest BC that you can shoot in a 1 in 10 twist. It has the highest BC that you can get with a 1 in 10 twist, a G1 of 0.483. So it's getting up there, really close to 0.5. So we're going to find out, can it keep up with a 6.5 Creedmoor that's also shooting basically the same type of bullet. So what I'm going to have it shoot, the 6.5 Creedmoor, is a 140 grain VLD, which has a BC of almost 0.6. So let's go ahead and look at the ballistics. Again, 115 grain, you could easily get 3150 in a 25-06. And that Berger VLD has energy of around 25-34 foot-pounds. Recoil, it's not too bad. Even though it's a 30-06 case, you're shooting tiny 25 caliber bullets. And so recoil, definitely lower than a 270, lower than a 7mm 08, and really close to about the same recoil as a 6.5 Creedmoor, surprisingly. Now let's just take this out to 400 yards. The bullet's going almost 2,400 feet per second. It's moving real quick. Your energy, wow, 1,457 foot-pounds. And of course, what the 25-06 is known for and what people love about it is how flat shooting it is. Only 22 inches of drop. This really is basically a magnum in the 25 caliber. Now the 6.5 Creedmoor with a 140 grain VLD, you can hand load it, most likely 2750. I mean, if you had a longer barrel, you could probably get more, but most people are going to get 2750 at max. Energy is about 200 foot-pounds below the 25-06, and recoil is a little less. So let's look out to 400 yards. The bullet's going almost 2,200 feet per second, and the energy is 1,466 foot-pounds. So just a tad bit more than the 25-06. But when you're within that close, I would say they're basically the same. Then what you get with drop, 6.5 Creedmoor is not a flat shooter. 29 inches of drop. 25-06 has a 7-inch advantage, even at 400 yards with the drop. So the 25-06 with that 115 Berger really holds its own against the 6.5 Creedmoor. You could shoot higher BC bullets. You could shoot an ELDX. You could shoot higher Berger bullets too, BC. But the 25-06 really is a pretty underrated cartridge. And if companies start modernizing the twist rate, maybe with a 1 in 8 twist, watch out. The 25 caliber bullet cartridges could really become super popular because they're starting to make 130 plus grain bullets in 25 caliber, and in a 25-06 you could shoot that probably 3,000 feet per second, and wow, you've got quite the performer for long range. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know which cartridge you would pick. I think you can guess which one I would personally pick over the other. I personally am a little old school, and I like the 25-06 a little more than the 6.5 Creedmoor. Let me know in the comments which one you would pick. Have a great day.